Congressman Krishnamoorthi, Democrat of Illinois, to talk more about this. Congressman, thanks for joining us on this. I appreciate it. I want to talk a little bit about Israel in a moment, but let's talk first about the fight for Speaker in the House. And Republicans really in disarray here, right? So 17 days now, the House has been without a Speaker. Has it come time for moderate Republicans to turn to Democrats to help with a solution?
Absolutely. You know, Hakeem Jeffries, our leader, has repeatedly reached out to moderate Republicans and said, look, let's find a way to create a bipartisan coalition, a unity coalition, if you will, to sideline extremists and make sure that we can govern for the interests of the country. Unfortunately, a lot of these moderates are more scared of MAGA world at this point, but I think that they need to, you know, take us up on our offer and do what's best for the country right now.
So I know that Trump is actually now being reported by Politico. He is against a frontrunner currently for speakership, House Majority Whip Tom Emmer. This is what Politico is saying. Former President Donald Trump privately conveying to allies on Friday he does not back House Majority Whip Tim Emmer's bid for Speaker, throwing another wrench into an already chaotic process to find the next person to hold the gavel. I know there's about 10 other names that are being thrown around as well. Byron Donalds, Austin Scott, Jack Bergman, Roger Williams, just to name a few. Is there any name here that you think can actually get across the finish line?
Honestly, I don't know. I think that the problem is they have decided that working with Democrats is somehow traitorous within their caucus, but the other alternative, which is trying to get virtually unanimous support from their caucus for any one candidate, has proven nearly impossible. So you can imagine that maybe one of those people among the 10 that you showed a moment ago could win a secret ballot, maybe a majority of the caucus actually calling them the speaker designate, just like Jim Jordan had that title last week. But then once they go to the floor, they can't get the rest of the caucus to join them. And that's happening repeatedly. Right. And when you throw the monkey wrench of Trump into the mix, he can easily block people as well.
Aside from, of course, this looming, once again, government shutdown, I believe, come November 17th, again, I'll mention 17 days without a speaker, the president linking aid to both Ukraine and Israel, the House can't get anything across the finish line without a speaker in place. How is anything at this point going to get done?
Well, you can't get that legislation or really any legislation done without a speaker. The current speaker doesn't have the power to preside over the passage of any legislation. All he can do is preside over the election of the next speaker. Potentially another avenue is to make the current speaker a temporary speaker for a certain number of days and give him the power to preside over this crucial legislation. But even then, that has run into opposition within their caucus. But as you know, we have to fund Ukraine aid, Israel aid. We have to help Taiwan with regard to their defense needs. And of course, there are some border security and humanitarian needs in the Gaza Strip, among other places that we have to fund. And yet, right now, we're kind of in a situation of chaos where we're not able to address these pressing issues.
Congressman, I want to read for folks a little bit of the piece that you wrote for MSNBC, an opinion piece about the former president. The title of the piece kind of says it all as well. Trump just reminded the world why he's a walking national security risk. You write this: Trump decided this week was a good time to scorn Israel to, quote, step up its game. He referred to Israel's defense minister as a, quote unquote, jerk for putting Hezbollah, which he called very smart, on notice to not attack Israel. Despite the fact that all Israeli citizens are required to serve in the military for 2 to 3 years, Trump claimed Israel, quote, wasn't ready militarily to protect itself from Hamas and Hezbollah. Talk a little bit more about this, if you will, Congressman.
Well, I think once again, you know this, Yasmin, that Trump appears to the world to be a fickle friend and a terrible ally. And, just in this particular instance, because of his personal grievance against Bibi Netanyahu for calling Joe Biden to wish him congratulations on winning the presidency, he has a grudge against Netanyahu and his government. And so that's why he heaped so much scorn on them. And then couple that with his calling Hezbollah very smart and then saying Israel was not militarily ready. It basically sends all the wrong messages to our friends and allies and adversaries around the world. To our adversaries, it looks like we are weak and divided. And then to our allies, basically, they are not going to go all in on their partnerships with us because they fear that people like Trump could really push them away and hang them out to dry. So this is why, even though Donald Trump's name is going to be on the ballot next year, probably in the general election, so is national security.
Congressman Raja Krishnamoorthi, thank you, sir. Appreciate it.